To make you aware, this podcast will contain conversations around mental health and well-being and could include issues of a sensitive nature. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.
In this special episode, we're focusing on a topic that touches all of us at some point in our lives: grief and bereavement. In recognition of Grief Awareness Day on the 30th of August, we've gathered stories from 5 different groups right here in Torfaen that are offering comfort, support and a safe space for those who are grieving. From Cwmbran to Blaenavon, these are the people who are creating a community of care. We'll be hearing from Richmond Road Baptist Church in Pontypool, Richmond Road in Cwmbran, Sue from Bethlehem Chapel talking about the Good Grief Club, TLC Wellbeing Church in Cwmbran. But first we'll hear from a very special group, Aneurin Bevan's Baby Loss Group. This support network provides a vital lifeline for parents or people who've experienced the unimaginable loss of a baby. They offer a compassionate and understanding community for those navigating this unique and profound grief. Joined today by Louise Howells from Aneurin Bevan University Health Board. Can you share the background of the Baby Loss Support Group? What inspired its creation and who's it designed to support?
Well, Aneurin Bevan didn't have a bereavement lead midwife until 2021. So originally Sam and I started as a joint post, and then I became the lead for the bereavement group the following year, for bereavement for maternity the following year. And we realised that there wasn't much support provided by the NHS directly for families who'd experienced a loss of their baby at any stage of pregnancy or soon after birth. So we established the group in October 2023. We've had a couple of venues, just trying to find the right kind of environment really for people. We sent out a survey in advance of that, trying to gather interest, trying to gather when people would prefer to hold the meeting, whether they'd prefer somewhere quiet, completely private room, some kind of shared space with a bit of background noise, whether they'd like it morning, afternoon or evening. And then once we had some responses, we kind of built the group around those responses, really. So we started it up on the second Monday of every month, and it's from 7 o'clock in the evening. And it's open to anybody who's experienced the loss of a baby at any stage of pregnancy. That can be an ectopic pregnancy, early miscarriages, late miscarriages, terminations of pregnancy, stillbirth, or anyone who's lost a baby soon after birth. So what we would call a neonatal death, a baby who's been born but unfortunately died soon after birth. In the neonatal unit. We mostly see parents at the group, but it's not specifically aimed at parents, it's aimed at anyone who's been affected by baby loss. We've had one grandmother who's come to the group in the past, but it generally does tend to be the parents that come. And it doesn't matter how long ago the loss was. If someone is still feel like they would benefit from support 5-10 years down the line, then they're more than welcome at the group as well.
What kind of emotional and practical challenges do parents and families often face after baby loss, and how does the group help address those?
The loss of the baby can be described as disenfranchised or ambiguous grief. And that describes a loss where society doesn't as a whole doesn't recognise it, whilst you might get immediate great support from immediate family or friends. Wider society has never met the baby, never seen the baby, might not even have known about the pregnancy. And therefore it can be really difficult to grieve. It's a really difficult type of grief when there's not that missing person like you would experience if you lost a parent or a grandparent. Parents often get told, at least you're only 6 weeks, 20 weeks. At least you can get pregnant, at least you can try again, without actually acknowledging the grief that they're going through and acknowledging the loss that they're experiencing and validating the feelings that they're having. So, like I said, some parents may not even have told friends and family or colleagues that they're pregnant yet. Some might have gone as far as having baby showers and sharing, the pregnancy and the birth on social media. And sometimes then that results in them feeling embarrassed or ashamed about then having to explain that things have gone, ended in a bad way, which makes it really difficult. And lots of families I support as well often report their families and friends assume they should be over it by now, maybe just even a few weeks or months after their loss, not realising the emotions and, the massive roller coaster of grief that comes after losing a baby. Thankfully, things are getting a lot better. We've got a lot more awareness about how common baby loss is and how life-changing it can be, but we still do have a lot of work to do, and being able to raise awareness like this is fantastic.
Grief is complex at the best of times, I suppose. But how is the group structured? Is there a particular format to the sessions, or is it more about open conversation and peer support?
Yeah, there's no plan. We, like I said earlier, we meet once a month on the second Monday of the month for an hour and a half. It's really informal. There's no structure. It's just a safe space for people to come and talk about their experience if they want to, or to just sit and listen to others. There's no judgment in the group. And in my experience, in the families that have come to the group, they've been really generous in what they've shared and been extremely compassionate when listening to other people's stories as well. They, talking about quite private things, really. Sometimes people use kind of peer support groups to hear other people say how they're feeling too, and to acknowledge that. I think you have thoughts sometimes when you've lost a baby, you think that you're the only one that feels like that, or that's a terrible thought to have. I shouldn't have a thought like that. But then you hear another family say the same thing and think, oh, thank goodness I'm normal, that's okay. It's okay to have those thoughts. So being able to sit and, meet peers who've been through something similar is fantastic. And, my ideal would be eventually I get to sit in the corner and not speak and let the group kind of run itself. But, at the moment, myself and Sarah Stead, who's one of our gynecology nurses, and Dawn Pascal, who's one of the senior gynecology managers, they attend to help as well and support. And, we talk about all sorts of things. We talk about specifics of one of the family's actual experiences and can kind of answer that directly or feedback directly. And other times it's more generic about baby loss in general, just depending on what the group needs and what questions the group come up with on the day.
Bit of an obvious question, I suppose, but why do you think it's important for people to have access to specialised grief support groups like this, especially when it comes to baby loss?
Well, as I've already said, it's such a difficult loss to come to terms with. We know that when you lose a parent, you're called an orphan. When you lose a spouse, you're a widow. But there's no name for parents who lose a baby or a child. And it can be really difficult, if families are lucky enough to have another baby, is this your first? It's such a difficult question to answer. People feel worried about upsetting the person in front of them by acknowledging that their first baby died. But then also they feel guilty because they haven't acknowledged their baby, or maybe they've chosen not to acknowledge the baby in that conversation because it doesn't feel appropriate. So it's really difficult. People don't understand when you're pregnant why you can be really anxious. It's an anxiety inducing time being pregnant anyway, without a history of pregnancy loss as well. So it is really important that there is that grief support out there. As a health board, we try really hard to learn from every loss and make sure that the appropriate support is in place for the weeks and months after families give birth or after they experience their loss. And as I say, when if you are thinking of embarking on a next pregnancy or are pregnant again, peer support from people in similar situations or having similar thoughts about future pregnancies can be really, really helpful.
How can friends, family, and the wider community how can they better support someone who's grieving the loss of a baby, and how can they raise awareness of the support available through your group?
There's so many different ways they can support, to be honest. I always say to people, be the friend who takes around a lasagna or a ready meal without expecting anything in return. Kind of don't turn up expecting tea and biscuits. Turn up expecting to do a job or expecting to take something with you, and just check in with them. Don't just do it in the initial few weeks. Obviously, that's important and around the time of the funeral, but think ahead of times of anniversaries. Things like the due date can be really emotional for families because, the thoughts of what should have been. Christmas, once you start even thinking about having a family, let alone, when you find out you are pregnant, you'll start thinking, oh, by Christmas, there'll be 3 of us. I wonder what we'll do for Christmas. Oh, I might buy baby's first Christmas onesies and things like that. And actually, those anniversaries can be really difficult. But those things where it should have been the first time you went on holiday with the baby or, experienced Christmas, as I said. And sometimes acknowledging that it can be hard goes a long way as well. So drop in a text just on those anniversaries, just checking in to say thinking of you can be really meaningful. And I think it's okay to say to somebody, I am so sorry, I've got no idea what to say. This is awful. It is. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you. And I would always say to try not to start your sentence with at least. Like we said earlier, at least, you can get pregnant. We feel like we're trying to help, we're trying to make things better, but we can't make it better for that person at that time. But just acknowledging there's a really, really difficult situation and acknowledging that you don't know how to help is okay too. Like I said, if they do manage to have another pregnancy, if that's what they choose to do, just remember they're going to be anxious, when their appointments are coming up. yes, they want to be able to enjoy the pregnancy and celebrate all those milestones that they have, certain scans, certain weeks of pregnancy, but it's always going to be tinged with that anxiety. So it's just about being sympathetic, really, and checking in on them and kind of acknowledging it. Don't be afraid of mentioning their baby. You're not going to make them think about their baby and make them upset. They're always thinking about their baby, but you're going to acknowledge their baby existed, and that is really, really important. And I would say as well, if you're fortunate enough not to have experienced baby loss and you happen to see something online on your social media or anything, maybe just spend that 2 minutes reading that post and think about resharing it. That post affects one person and changes how you speak to somebody who's had a pregnancy loss, and it's been worth sharing that post and raising that awareness. So even something that feels so small like that is actually really important. It's not morbid, it's not negative, but it really raises that awareness and raises the awareness of what support is out there for families. A lot of the families say that they had no idea it could happen to them, when actually miscarriage affects 1 in 4 pregnancies. So pregnancy loss is more common than we think, and often people find that when they start talking to friends or extended family about their loss, they find that others have gone through it as well, but it's still very much a taboo subject. If any businesses they want to support, we can put a poster up for the support group in their window. They could share it on an employee team email. It doesn't even have to be going up to specific people. You can just be sharing it, in a big group email, and it might be useful to one person within that company. And just, as I say, just talking about it, ask the person how you can support them. You don't have to know. You don't have to know all the answers, but ask what would be useful for that person. If you're their employer, if you're their friend, ask what could be useful. But also, don't be afraid to give suggestions. Like I say, turn up with a lasagna or a meal or something like that. Sometimes give suggestions, though. Sometimes it's really hard to ask for help. That family may desperately want somebody to just help with something, but can't articulate it, can't think of what would be useful. But if you can offer a specific job, you could say, right, I'm going to come around in the morning and I'll walk the dog for you. That might be really useful. I'll pick the children up from school for you, the other children on Wednesday after school. Things like that can be really useful, and it's much easier to say yes to a specific job than have the kind of the weight or the burden of thinking of how that person can help you. So there's lots and lots of things that can be done to support families. And as I say, raising awareness of the support group is amazing and can be done by the simple share of the flyer.
And when is the baby loss support group happening?
On the second Monday of every month, and we hold it in the annex at the back of the Cwmbran Community Council buildings. They've really generously allowed us to use the building for free. There's a big car park behind it. It's accessible for wheelchairs. There's toilets. There's a kitchen. They kindly provide us with tea and coffee. It's really welcoming. It's really friendly. I know it's terrifying to stand outside a group or even think about going to a group and walking into a room full of strangers to tell your story. But there's absolutely no expectation that you do join in. If you turn up for a week and you just want to sit and listen to others, that's absolutely fine. But they really are a friendly group. And, like I said, myself, Sarah and Dawn, I hope, are very welcoming as well and help to put you at your ease. You don't have to book, but if you would feel better by kind of getting in touch, my number is on the flyer as well, if you'd rather kind of discuss first what goes on. On the flyer, there is a QR code as well. If you scan that, it takes you to more information about the group, but also shows you pictures of where the venue is. So it just breaks down, try to make it as straightforward as possible for you to be able to find the group and come on in.
Perfect. Louise, the work that you do with this group is just incredible. So thank you to you and your colleagues at the Aneurin Bevan University Health Board. It's the Baby Loss Support Group. And thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Patrick.
Find us on social media at Torfaen Talks CIC. For more details about what we do, look on our website, torfaentalkscic.org.uk.
I'm out and about today then in Two Locks in Cwmbran. I've come to the TLC Wellbeing Centre to talk to Tony about what they do here and the services they offer, especially with regards to bereavement.
We run a wellbeing centre on the outside of the church, on the whole of the church. And that wellbeing centre is to look for the whole well-being of all people. We provide food, we fair share. Most of the time we find that people coming in with either mental health problems or bereavement, or there's been suicidal situations. But we always try to signpost most people. Most people got things like money problems, or they have a difficulty in their community or in their situation. So we try to signpost. It's usually the personal things like bereavement or mental health or any kind of those things that we usually end up having to counsel or to spend time with people on a weekly basis.
Talk about for example, like food bank. How often is that available?
We are an independent, so we're not part of any trust or any government food bank. So every bit of food in the church is bought by the church.
Right, okay.
We can give it without discretion, you
Yeah.
know. So we open that up on a Wednesday. We try to open it up for Wednesday collection. But then we are open for Thursday and Friday as well. And so some people come in that from 10 till 12 and come in and collect it then. Some people collect it weekly, some collect it monthly. Depends on the circumstances. And the procedure really is that we tend to give about 6 hampers. And after about the 5th hamper, then we'll have a one-to-one and we have a chat and see in any way we can help to improve. It's all about betterment.
Yes,
if we can make anyone feel better, wherever they are on that day. But I find that well-being is really about the betterment of a person.
Yes.
Trying to bring that betterment out to improve them. So this is how the food, we don't actually call it a food bank, we call it our hampers.
Yes.
Because we're independent. And it's up and down. And we can do dozens of them and then some like 8 or 9. So it depends on the circumstances of the day. Never run out of food so far. And we've always had to buy it ourselves. We've had some help in the past from supermarkets and different organisations, but it's always been my food year for people. And the other part of the food is obviously fair share.
Yes.
Which is food that's intercepted before it goes to landfill. And that's always if it's available to everybody who comes in. If you need to apply for it or anyone needs to apply for it, they can just come in and we can just have a quick chat and we can see where people can go with it.
Now, at the moment, we're in the church, and it's a classic kind of Valley's church, I suppose, isn't it? Not only do you do the hampers, you also do the support. There's also the bereavement group, isn't it?
We do one-to-one mainly. So there's quite a few bereavement groups around Torfaen area. And what we have found, especially in the last 8 months, is that people tend to come in themes, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody might come in with their mental health, and then we have a lot of that. But over the last 6 months, I would say we've had more than an expected load of people who come in who are suffering with grief. And it's not going away, sudden grief. So we tend to look after people who may be struggling to get past that grief.
Yeah.
And there might be a dozen reasons for that. So we try to, it's not about just letting the process happen. So we tend to step in when the process is a bit stuck. So we tend to look at how we can make help with people and letting people talk a bit and letting people express. And I find a lot of times that if you've lost a partner and you're a certain age, you've got nobody to share that story. And you really just want to share your story. And if it's family involved, you don't want to keep sharing the same story to people. So you do need a platform or a sounding board to share that story. So that's where we've come in with our grief. We got this me that does the grief counselling, and we have another lady who comes in on a Thursday who's a tired counsellor who also helps out. And there are people who are trained when they're available who can help out and talk to people then.
So in terms of with grief, they say grief never really goes away. It just doesn't get smaller, but everything around it becomes bigger, doesn't it?
Yes, with grief, I think grief is supposed to follow a certain natural path. Yeah. It's in rediscovering who you are, rediscovering the situation, it's acceptance, and then reinventing all the things of life you do. Where it goes wrong is when the process isn't improving. And I can give an example without mentioning anything. You know, we've had a lady with grief, and the person died a long, long time ago. And it was just an incident take place, and suddenly all the grief came back. And that incident started to trigger off all the grief that she had in the first time, which she seemed to grow out of. Yeah. Which went through, then its natural course. And you can see that there was issues that hadn't been dealt with.
Yes.
So sometimes we can be stuck in grief. We can be stuck in a situation that we can't seem to get our thoughts out of, can't seem to get our actions right. And sometimes it does not even do it for you. What you just need is the permission, I suppose, to get better. The permission to get over things, and the permission to go on with your life in a different way.
The bereavement group, when does that happen?
What we tend to do, because we're a wellbeing centre and we open 3 times a week, people come in for hampers, people come in for chats and coffee and drop-in, people come in to see our organisations like Pobble or Blaenavon. But at the same time then, when we come in, we always tend to ask what they come for. So sometime in the case of story, grief comes up then in a conversation. And even when it is grief, always could be another reason behind it. So we tend to funnel, I suppose the right word would be, as people come in and they get a hamper, or they get a situation, or they have a chat, and then things are exposed in that chat, and that gives us our direction. So most bereavements, not all of them come initially out of bereavement. They just come for the connection or the food or other reason they've come for. But then it quickly gets exposed that the biggest problem is bereavement, or the lack of overcoming a certain bereavement. And in that overcoming that situation, that's when we lead it to that bereavement counselling. So everything is a signpost.
Yes.
So when we recognise that somebody needs something specific, and it might not be bereavement, if it's some depression or something, we will then signpost it that direction. So we tend to try and identify what the need is.
Yes.
And then step in with that situation.
A little bit like, I suppose, like a triage kind of service in a way, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. I would say that most of the things I do is more triage. It's fishing. You're exploring why people are in that situation. And not everything that people say is what they really feel. And it takes a little digging and a little bit of poking around, and you start to think, oh, there's more going on here. And you discover what that is. And most people will actually deal with themselves. Once it's revealed, they start to deal with it. They start to come through it. And when they analyse and look, this is where I am, this is the situation. Most probably try to put it in a drawer and pretend it's not existent. But when they start to face it and start to look at the situation, most probably talk to themselves about it. And that's all we do, is make that environment where people can start considering their situation, considering where they are, considering all the facts of the situation, and then asking them again, see, where are we with it? Where are you going with this? And then trying to bring that closure to their life and understanding where they're going to be in the future and trying to give them a future.
Oh, absolutely. So the Wellbeing Centre, when is it open and how can people get in contact with you?
The Wellbeing Centre is open Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. And my number's available in the area. I'm also the pastor of the church, so I'm easily found on that number. And we are on Facebook as well, the Wellbeing, and you can contact us through there. But most people just turn up. If you can be around that time and turn up, and you come in and you might say, and we'll talk to you, see why you've come and what we can help you with. Is there anything we can do, or do you just want a cup of coffee? So, and then it goes from there. That's the main need we come in. Some people message us on Facebook. You're just walking into a nice group of people, coffee, just a chat. And it's a friendly atmosphere. And then we see where it goes. If you've got a specific thing that you're coming for because there's a certain problem and you know you're in a certain problem, you can just approach us and ask us about the situation, and we can see where we can take it with you. And if there's anything we can help you with.
Tony from TLC Wellbeing Church, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that was our chat with Tony from the TLC Wellbeing Centre. I've just come outside and it's a lovely day. It's not too grey, but I'm stood outside the Wellbeing Centre and I'm overlooking some ducks and well, a bit of water, and it's lovely. It is definitely perfect for you to pop down and just to take some time out and just chill a little bit.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610.
So I'm here with Cwmbran today at Bethlehem Chapel. Before we begin, tell me a little bit what else happens here at Bethlehem Chapel.
Oh, nice to speak to you today, Patrick. Yes, we've got lots going on here at the chapel. Some of the groups we have are sponsored by the church and others are people who use the premises. So on a Monday we have a coffee morning, and that's also linked with a chair yoga session.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's quite a few of us who do that. I'm the baby of the group, so that tells you that the demographic, but it's a really good way to start the day. Our tutor's very good. And then later on during term time, the brownies use the space and they really enjoy doing that. On a Tuesday, we have our own chapel-sponsored pottery group, so you don't have to be a potter to come. The people here will help you out. It was originally started by my husband, Kevin, and so it carries on as part of his legacy, which is lovely. We hold a prayer meeting on a Tuesday evening, and that's at 6:30. Then on a Wednesday, our fabulous volunteer team come in and get everything ready for Fair Share collection, when they go down to Pancake House and collect food and bring it up and get it all ready for our Thursday. On our Thursday, we're quite high of action here. We've got tea and toast from 9:30, well, from 9 o'clock really, and Fair Share then is able to be distributed from 9:30. We have our own meet and eat group going on, and currently we have lunch and learn with Multiply. So some of our user group and some of our chapel members are doing some maths.
Wow,
I think they were doing averages and means and range the last time
okay.
that they were all in, which was fabulous.
It's too early for that for me. Carry on.
On a Friday, we have a lovely group meeting called Tin Shed, and they're a group of people who like to play their guitars and sing, a group of older people. And then we have our services then on a Sunday, and they vary quite a bit. And then once a month, we hold our Good Grief Club, which is bereavement support, and we hold that from 10 till 12 on a Wednesday morning. And again, 6 till 8 on a Wednesday evening, because we're conscious that people have to work, or maybe they've got other commitments during the day. So we put a session on in the evening as well.
There's an awful lot that happens here that people may or may not be aware of. The week is just very busy, and now today we're here for that Good Grief Club. Can you tell me a little bit about the background of it?
It actually has come out of my husband's death. I literally woke up one morning thinking, good grief, what on earth has happened? And I think that there are a lot of other people who wake up thinking, good grief, and that's the polite way of putting it, isn't it? Good grief. And then that sort of formulated in my head about grieving generally and what support is out there and who could you talk to, because we all have our families and friends, but they're also grieving in their own way for the same person. It would be useful to have, or beneficial for some people to have, just a support group where they could go and talk about everything around grief. And on all the wall, actually, we've got some things that we've explored. We've explored some of the emotions around it. You can swing from being so desperately sad, but also quite joyful at memories sometimes, so very angry, very guilty that you're still here and they're not, all of those things. And we've even explored, what do you say to people when they ask you how you are?
Yes.
And we live in a town where people go, hi, are you all right?
Yeah.
And they're not actually asking how you're feeling.
Yeah.
They're just acknowledging that you're there.
Yeah.
And it's just a turn of phrase. And for me, I struggled a long time on what to actually say back to people. So we've got some things that we've said up here. So generally, when people come, they light a candle in memory of their loved one. We just talk and support each other. I've done a couple of visual things, like the model of grief that shows how grief is as a ball, and that you grow around your grief. The grief doesn't get smaller, that you grow around. We've done a couple of things like that here. And also, we usually finish with a poem connected with the loss of a loved one. Some of us have been very recently bereaved, and others of us have been bereaved several times, or even a while ago. And I think everyone's coming to recognise that you're not all right, but you learn to live with grief and then everybody does it in a different way.
Yes.
And you see lots of models of grief, don't you, that there's this straight line and you're going to go through all of that. Well, actually, the model is just a big scribble.
Exactly, yeah.
And that you can almost have a parallel personality, because you can function on the outside almost normally, but on the inside you can be so desperately sad. So really we wanted to give people the space to perhaps explore those times when you are feeling that desperate sadness or desperate anger, or you've got questions, with other people who've been through a similar experience. Definitely.
I think with the stages of grief, as you touched upon there, it's the fact of you can be one of them. There's no process. It's not serial. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 3, and back again all the time, isn't it? So I suppose this group is there for people to talk about it with people who actually understand that process.
Definitely. I've had lots of people say, oh, you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And when they say that, I always imagine, that huge chocolate cake that boy has to eat in Matilda. He got through that. Grief isn't a big chocolate cake that you have to get through, because you carry it with you all the time, and you don't come to an end to it. You learn to, I suppose, have grief walk alongside you. There are some days when it will just be bobbing gently in the background, and other days when it's right at the front of your mind, and you can't function for maybe the whole day. how you normally would, because it's just there. And one of the interesting things that people say, and I know that Carol and Grenville, who are with us today, will also say, is they say, oh, it's always the first anniversary that's the worst.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Interestingly, I found things like just recently, Heritage Day really threw me, because Kev had some physical challenges, and so in order for him to get about in Blaenavon, if I was involved in something, which often I was, and he was always involved with the choir, we had to have this plan in place about, right, whoever's Kev going to be, so he's going to be here in chapel for so long, and then he had to get down to sing his bit, and then we would always end up back at his mum's house. The whole family would be involved in that, and then suddenly on that Saturday, I didn't have that to think about. That really threw me. And the other one was polling day, actually, because we were always one of the last in at St Paul's Hall, because he would insist on going after choir. And again, on polling day, that wasn't anything to consider. And those 2 days probably caused me to step back and take a breath, more than, we'd already had the first birthday, we'd already had the first Christmas. Most of us in the family have had our first birthdays without him. So I think it's having a space for people to say, well, actually, I wanted to ring my mum or my dad or my husband today because I saw this and I thought they'd be interested in it. Or I think that having a space where you can discuss that without others thinking, well, you should have got over it by now, which I also think is something that...
It can be very triggering sometimes, because I'll be honest, somebody said that to me during the first year of my mum passing. It was like, well, it's always about you. It's like, well, yes, it might be at this moment, but I'm not really putting it about me. I was never mentioning the fact of it was about her all the time. But this person had just started that kind of the narrative I was talking about it all the time. It's quite a difficult thing sometimes to navigate, isn't it?
It's difficult to navigate within family, really, as well, because we've all got the same experience. Both my sisters, my brother, myself, we've got the same experience of our parents passing, in that they passed, but we were in at different points of our lives, but also at different points at that moment that it happened. That and so our perspective is different. So, for example, when my mum died, Davina, she'd had the opportunity of being with her most of the morning, and it was an ordinary day, for them. So that also has a bearing on what your perspective is within a family. So sometimes it's hard within a family to talk about something, because maybe you feel you had a missed experience or a missed chance or a missed opportunity that you can't really explore with somebody, because you don't want to hurt their feelings or again make it about you or make it about them, but just say, I was really upset that I didn't get that opportunity, or if I had known, because sometimes that's how we feel, don't we? We look at hindsight and think, oh, if I had known.
The what ifs.
What ifs. Definitely. So this is what this group is here to explore. We haven't got a set recipe. We're not following any courses. We don't particularly show any videos. We talk about our loved ones. We've played music that they like. We bring cakes in that they like. We like that bit as well. And that's really very much what we've, just where we are with it.
What would you say to somebody who's listening to this now and thinking, I've lost somebody, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, and they're still struggling. What would you say to them to make that first step to come to a group like yours?
I think literally take that first step and do it for yourself and do it for the person that you've lost in their memory, almost, to come and explore everything, come and remember them with us, because I think we all have a fear that other people will forget them, or that we'll forget things about them. And coming to a group like this, especially in a smaller community like Blaenavon, you might encounter somebody who knew them.
That's right,
who
absolutely.
Had contact with them, and just come along. I'm happy for my number to be shared so that people can ring first if they want to. It's always daunting to come into somewhere new on your own, but we can always, make that contact and bring you in, have a chat with you on the phone first, and then come in with you. That's what I would say would be the first step. And
it's once a month, isn't it?
Yes, it's the last Wednesday of the month, and we usually pop a reminder up on our Facebook page. And I've got to say that we're very grateful to Heritage Funerals in Blaenavon, because they have supported us to open. But yes, we're the last Wednesday of the month, 10 till 12 in the morning, 6 till 8 in the evening.
Perfect. Sue, thank you so much
for
joining me today.
Thank you.
Find us on social media at Torfaen Talks CIC. For more details about what we do, look on our website, torfaentalkscic.org.uk. www.tlcwellbeing.co.uk.
So far you've heard from the Aneurin Bevan's Baby Loss Group, also TLC Wellbeing Church in Cwmbran, and the Good Grief Club based in Blaenavon with Sue. Now, move down to Cwmbran. Talking with Gemma about the kind of things they do here and as well talking about your bereavement group. Now, first off, what do you do here in Richmond Road Baptist Church?
We do all sorts of things. We're trying to get as involved in the community as we can. So starting on a Monday afternoon, we do a wellbeing singing group, come along and sing around the piano. Tuesdays, we have our wellbeing cafe, which is a great space, really buzzing at the moment, full of arts and crafts. There is always food on offer and just a really great place to come and meet people and chat. Wednesdays, our ladies' fellowship get together. They have speakers come in. I love it when the guide dogs come to visit.
Oh, wow.
That's always a fun
Love
one.
that.
Thursday mornings, we have our toddler group. Friday's usually quiet. Saturdays, once a month, we have messy church. So again, the building is full of kids, families. That's a really buzzing one again. Sunday morning worship, obviously. We've recently started our bereavement group.
Yes. So can you explain to people what would actually happen at a bereavement group? Because when you've lost somebody, you do go through those stages. How does the group help with that?
So it's quite a new group, but the aim is just to get some of that peer support. So many people, when they're recently bereaved in particular, find they're feeling things they've never felt before, they're dealing with situations they've never had to deal with before. It's all very new and it can all be a bit scary. And so the aim of the group is just to put people in a room together where they can express the things that maybe they don't want to talk to family about, they don't want to burden people, and just to find out actually whatever you're going through and however you're dealing with this is perfectly normal, and there's always going to be someone else to come alongside and just be there, to hold your hand through filling out all those forms. Other groups that we've been in contact with when we were setting this up, people have made lifelong friendships. They go on that first holiday together and that turns into an annual thing. Just a place where people can have conversations with people who get it, who understand what you're going through.
So with regard to that group, then that happens every month, doesn't it?
Yeah, at the moment it's monthly, first Tuesday of every month from 10 till 11. So the aim of that again was that it leads nicely into our wellbeing cafe. So people, if they want to stay on and have a little bit more companionship, a little bit more friendship, there's the opportunity to stay, because that runs from 11 till 1. Bereavement group from 10 till 11 is just that space where everyone in the room has been through something similar and gets where you're coming from.
What would you say to somebody if they were thinking about coming and they're a little bit anxious, apprehensive?
Perfectly normal. I don't like going new places myself. It's always a bit scary the first time you step through the door. But honestly, everyone at the group is so friendly. It's such a warm and welcoming place to be. All of our volunteers have gone through a training program with Crews, who are national bereavement champions. So not only have they got personal experience, they've also had that little bit of levelling up on how to handle situations that might not be quite like their own.
Yes.
So there'll always be someone who can sit and chat with you, and there's absolutely no pressure. If you want to come in for 5 minutes, have a cup of coffee and leave again, that's absolutely fine. If you want to stay all day, we can probably make that happen. Although I do have to go home at some point.
People will be here until probably 7 o'clock in the night now, you realise that, don't you? Yeah. It is just a safe space really for people to come and talk to with, I hate the word like-minded people, but people who've gone through that same process, isn't it?
Yeah, people who understand where it's okay to be feeling however you're feeling and to be dealing with your grief and however you're dealing with it.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It's different for everybody.
Yes, that's right.
And that can be difficult to navigate sometimes, especially we've talked to a few people already whose family are dealing with their grief in very different ways, and that can be quite lonely actually if you're not doing what everyone around you is doing, or you're not feeling the way other people around you are feeling. So it's good to have that space to come and be with other people who get that. First Tuesday of every month from 10 till 11.
Okay, and if people want to get in contact with you for any reason, how can they do that?
Best way is probably through our Facebook page. There's multiple of us who check those messages, so there'll usually be a pretty quick response, and that's just facebook.com/Richmond Road Baptist Church.
Gemma, thank you.
Thank you.
Today I'm down by Merchant Hill Baptist Church. We're going to be going in shortly. If you want to know where it actually is, just up from the Texaco garage as you're heading out of Pontypool, heading up towards Aberystwyth and Blaenavon. And today we're going to find out a little bit more about the bereavement support group. So I've come inside now Merchant Hill Baptist Church and I'm joined by Chris.
I've been running the group for 8, maybe coming up 9 years now.
9 years, wow. So
Yes.
Would this be the longest running group in Torfaen?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Yes, I set it up. I work for Co-op Funeral Care and it was something the company felt that was needed in the area. So we've been doing that. In the beginning, there was just 4 or 5 people that regularly came, but since COVID and the lockdown, and we had to stop for that, we've had a lot more inquiries and interest, which the group is growing, which is great. So it's doing its job.
Basically, we've been talking with other groups across Torfaen, and this group is where everything kind of started, I suppose.
Quite probably, yes, because in the beginning, I contacted GP surgeries and put posters out there, but it was just, I suppose it's one of those subjects people,
people shy away from. Yeah, absolutely,
yes, yeah. But they're a really good mix of people that come here, all ages, men and women, and to be honest, I've got quite a good social life out of my group now.
And I think that's the one thing that's kind of from all these groups. It's not you have a common thing that is grief, but outside of that, it brings people together. It's an understanding of what everybody's going through.
The very first time, there was probably about 5 of us. We went out for a pre-Christmas meal, and the waiter, when he got to the table, he said, "Oh, is it a works Christmas outing?" And someone said, "Oh no, it's our bereavement group." And the poor waiter was horrified because we were all enjoying ourselves and what have you, and people don't associate that with
absolutely no.
with grief. And some days you can come here and people are very upset, we're crying. Other days you think they're laughing that much, and they're really in the right place.
Because I think what people don't understand about grief is it stays the same. It never really goes away, but what you surround yourself with, that grows. And I suppose groups like this are part of that, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. And I often say to people that sometimes it can be just the minor things that set you off. You think you could be doing great for weeks or months, and then suddenly something brings you right back to that day. It's theirs and it's intense. I feel you just learn to live with it in a different way. And if you've got people that have been through that, even if people have got wonderful friends and family, sometimes they try to be strong for their family and they don't want them to really see how they are. When they come here, they can...
It's an understanding between everybody who knows this is, some days you'll be good, some days not so good.
Yes. Yeah, and I sometimes feel, especially with new members, when they come, if we're sort of laughing and joking, I've sort of thought, oh dear, they might think, oh, I don't want to come here, it's not what I expected. But when I've spoken to people, they've said that's what they want. They want some sort of normality and, like I say, a really good bunch of people. So
saying about that now, to somebody who's recently been bereaved and they're listening to this, what kind of advice could you give to them about coming to a group like this?
I would say just try it. Everyone's different. Everyone deals with things differently. However, we've got a really mix of people that come here, and I've got one gentleman who came. I really had to persuade, come on, just come along, just give it a try, and he really wasn't, keen to do that. But he came and he felt comfortable, and he now comes, he says to me, I look forward to these meetings. He said, is it wrong to say that? And I said, not at all. I look forward to our meetings, and it's, having that connection with someone.
Yes, because you've gone through, probably some people will have gone through, the worst time in their life, but to come to a group like this, everybody's the same, everybody knows how you're feeling. There's different parts, different stages, of course, but everybody will have that same understanding of it too, wouldn't they?
That's right, absolutely. Because when I first started, I had 3 ladies all around the same sort of age who'd lost their husbands under different circumstances, totally different ways of dealing with things. They had that common connection, and I think that's what it is, because people say, oh, I know how you feel, or that sort of thing, but I think until you've been through something like this, nobody really knows.
No.
You might think, oh, I would deal with it in this way or that way, but when the time comes, it's totally different,
And if people want to come along, it's every second?
It's the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. We're here between 10 and 12 in Merchants Hill schoolroom. Say to people, if you want to come along, just pop in for an hour or just have a cup of tea. Just see how you feel. You don't have to stay for the 2 hours, but most people, once they've been once, they're here for 10 and, it's gone 12 before we leave. So, mentioned earlier, I've got quite a social life out of, we go out for meals at Christmas, in the summer, afternoon tea, and the group, they go for breakfast. When I'm working, they meet up in the garden centre, and they've built further connections.
Further connections, yeah.
Yes. So I would just say, come along, try it. If it's not for you, that's fine. If you come one day and you think, oh no, it's not for me, in a month's time, you might feel a bit different and try it again. There's no right or wrong way.
Chris, thanks for talking to me today.
You're more than welcome.
And now I'm talking with Carol from the group. Carol, how long have you been coming to this group?
Around about 4 months now, I think, yeah.
What made you come to this group?
It's my partner passed away 17 months ago now. He had cancer, and I cared for him for 2 years. When he passed away, I found it very, very difficult. I didn't want to see anyone or go out, and so I sort of isolated at home even. So I literally spent about 4 years in total, not really seeing very many people.
Yeah.
Going out at times when I deliberately wouldn't see people, sort of doing shopping at very weird hours because I didn't want to face anyone.
And because sometimes people, they don't really know how to approach you either. Because if you see friends out and about, they're like, oh, do I talk to Carol?
And also when people do approach you and they want to talk, and at that stage perhaps you're not ready because it's too overwhelming, because you don't want to break down.
No.
It's hard.
It
really
is
hard.
It's a bit of a fine line sometimes, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And people are very kind, but sometimes that kindness is worse than when people are not so kind.
Not so kind, yeah.
Yeah, if you see what I mean. Sympathy can be overwhelming at times,
So what do you think you get from being part of this group?
Very, very close friendships, support, and also a feeling that we're all in this together, and that it's okay to have a laugh. You shouldn't be ashamed to have a laugh, because the very first time you feel a little bit guilty because you think, I should still be so...
Yeah.
And you are, the pain is still there, but the others are feeling exactly the same way. But this is a bit of a respite from that feeling, So you have a lot of fellowship here and care and support.
And you're surrounded by people who've been through exactly what you've been through.
Exactly, and we're all at different stages.
Yes.
So now it's 17 months on, and I just feel like I'm starting to not get over it. You can't get over it. I mean, that's, not that you never get over it, but starting to get to the stage where I think this is my life as it's going to be. And you gain a sort of serenity and acceptance of this is what life is going to be. And I've made new friends and new social contacts, and new opportunities have opened up to meet other groups and I've joined other groups as well, and I'm enjoying it. And because we're all different ages and backgrounds, it's wonderful because everyone's got a wonderful story, and that's marvellous. It's been a great help, and also it's the feeling that you can help others who are perhaps at an earlier stage of bereavement. Obviously, when you first arrive, you're scared, you don't want to see people, you're not sure what to expect. You think, my goodness, is everyone going to be sitting around crying, because it's going to be too much. But then you get a warm welcome, you get a warm cup of tea and lovely biscuits, and it's a safe place to cry if you want to cry. And somebody will be there to hold your hand and say, I know.
my kind of final question really would be, what would you say to somebody who's listening to this and going through the different stages of grief?
Yeah.
What would you say to them for them to come along to this group?
Come along when you feel ready. That could be now, it could be a few weeks after bereavement, it could be a few months, it could even be a few years. But come when you feel ready, and there's going to be a warm welcome, and you're going to feel like you're part of a family, a supportive family.
Carol, thank you.
No problem.
Back outside now, as you can probably hear, from talking with the Merchant Hill Baptist Church bereavement group. The one thing I've noticed with talking with all these different groups is everything is the same. You know, you treat grief differently, you go through the different stages in your own way, but these groups are there for you just whenever you feel ready. Wherever you're based, in Blaenavon, in Cwmbran, in Pontypool, there's a bereavement group very close by to you. That brings us to the end of this very special episode of the podcast. Thanks for joining us as we heard from 5 incredible groups: Aneurin Bevan's Baby Loss Group, TLC Wellbeing Church, Bethlehem Chapel, Richmond Road Baptist Church and Merchant Hill Baptist Church. Their work is a powerful reminder that in times of grief, no one has to be alone. If you or someone you know needs support, we hope this episode has shown you that there's just a few of the places where you can find a helping hand right here in Torfaen. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you soon.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.